Well, our speaker needs no introduction. He's actually one of our members. although we always enjoy when Harry shows up. And Harry's been here for like most of the last month.
Yeah, I don't know why.
It's the great respect that you get.
I'm here when I can.
Take her away, Harry. Appreciate it.
Well, on behalf of the City of Cape Girardeau, Derek, and to all the club, we thank you for all your efforts to not only help the citizens in our city, the animals in our city, but do good throughout the world. I know we struggle at the city and the city council in giving the Humane Society enough money. They always ask for more than we can give them, and we'd like to be able to give them more. So the effort that this club made in hands-on work at the Humane Society was indeed noticed throughout our city, and again, on behalf of the city, we thank you for that. I thought today I would not recap a lot of what went on in 2013, but instead give you a broad brush of what's coming up in 2014. Some things I can talk about, some things I can hint at, some things I can't say anything about. But first of all, I'll tell you one thing that I can tell you for sure. I am running for re-election. So I'm going up for another 4 years, I can tell you that for sure. This is still confidential, but it was on the front page of the Missourian, so I guess I can say this.
Nobody reads it.
Oh, trust me. Pepsi is just about to announce their distribution center out at on LaSalle. There'll be 3 buildings. They're not big buildings. It's kind of an in and out type of operation. They're expanding their snack portion, and they'll have a repair building for their trucks. Almost all the grant monies and all the papers have been signed, and shortly we're going to be out there with some shovels and do some groundbreaking on the Pepsi distribution center that was supposed to be started in April. Through the city and through the company, there have been some delays there, but that's moving forward. We have a.
Harry, can I interrupt you and just ask you where about out there it's going to be?
It's going to be on the north side of LaSalle, toward the interstate side, but not clear over there. We have kind of a master plan how that is all going to work, and it just fits on one of the quadrants of that. It's 18.4 acres, I think, is what they're taking. So it'll be on the north side. And that's what the work that's been going on there with water across, sewer coming up, water, Ameren's, where's Skip? Ameren's at work up there, right, Skip?
We're working on it.
Thank you. We probably have more economic development prospects and good prospects right now than any time in the last 4 years for sure, and as John Maynard says, in the last number of years. A lot of activity going on that hopefully we'll have some announcements yet this year and into the first and second quarter of next year. So I'm really excited about the prospect, our economic development and our jobs prospect as we move forward through the next year. Our wastewater treatment plant will open in June of 14. It is on schedule and on budget. So that will be a big need that will have been met when we cut the ribbon on our wastewater treatment plant. Our greatest need right now, capital need, is a police station. And we heard the first consultant report back and recommendations back Monday night at council. It's real early on. It's unfunded. but the need is really there. And I wanted to take a look at repurposing some building, a building or two. They have convinced me and convinced council and staff that new is what we need, with all the technology that's needed, the seismic that's needed, et cetera, we need to do new. Location has not been determined yet, and funding has not been determined yet. But that's on the radar screen. You'll hear more about that as we move into 2014. Tonight is the first official community advisory group meeting in Illinois for the 66 corridor. This is the Cape to Paducah route. The study is underway. We were able to obtain $3.7 million. That study is underway through MoDOT. MoDOT has contributed some money to that. So that first meeting is this evening with community involvement involving Cape and Paducah, Sykeston, Illinois, economic developers, union people. There's a whole group of people that are on that advisory group committee that will work through the study session. That study will take probably about 3 years. That's an environmental and a route study for that Cape to Paducah. Very, very needed corridor that we've been talking about for a long time. We're working to come to a conclusion and an agreement on the hotel and restaurant tax. That isn't finalized yet, but it will be finalized within probably the next month to 6 weeks. We have a group of, it's kind of a perfect or imperfect storm of renewing taxes that are going to be compressed into 14 and 15. Complicated some by the use tax. The use tax will, County is going to put the use tax on the ballot in April. Probably Jackson will go along, and probably we will go along. This is a fairness type of tax to capture internet sales out of state, and a fairness to our local businesses. But it is perceived as a new tax, and it is a new tax for those who shop out-of-state internet. It's not a new tax for people who shop at home. We will have to pass the use tax by November of 16 in order to maintain the income on vehicles, which is really, really important. You know, we went a few months without capturing tax monies on vehicles that could go across the other side of the river on any of our borders and avoid that tax. And it hurts industry, business, and so forth in our local communities, particularly on the borders. So that's probably coming forth in April. Next year, we up for renewal, it'll be the same tax, but in renewal will be our fire tax. And that we will be working on in probably mid-year next year. And then the most important tax is the renewal of TTF. I've been involved in TTF since 1995. We're at about $85 million now that we've put into Cape Girardeau streets since 1995. If you go back and look at all that has happened since 1995 in the city on upgrades, new streets, repairs, sidewalks, lighting, it's pretty amazing what we've been able to do to stimulate growth within the community and improve the quality of life. Next year we'll be working, scheduled for construction is the next phase at Bloomfield that will go down past White Oaks. Also Veterans Memorial, which will be extended from Scenic Drive down through Hopper. Walnut and a new street, Walnut West to West End, that kind of connect that south side to Shawnee Park, and then the improvement of southwest end up to up to and just past Highway 74. And then the Independence-Gordonville signal will be under design, and hopefully we'll be able to put that one in next year. That was the one of the 3 signals that made the cut with the amount of traffic that goes through that intersection there by the Armory. We will begin after the April vote vetting projects for TTF 5, which will be the projects that will come from January 1, 16 through 2020. That planning is very critical. We've got, we're through TTF 4, and all that we've done, we have been on budget. This is a program where we don't bond anything. We do it as the money comes in. No bonding, we pay as we go. So it lags a little bit. Projects lag a little bit because of the way the money comes in. So all these projects are TTF 4, and TTF 4 projects will probably not be done, as none of the others were, when the next one comes on board. But there are a lot of needs yet, and those will have to be vetted and prioritized as we move through 2014. The Riverboat Fund will become active next year. That's another part of the development agreement with the casino, where the casino will fund $250,000 a year, matched by city funds, $250,000 a year, for a $500,000 influx to Old Town Cape, 70 to 80% capital, and 20 to 30% operating for the Old Town Cape area. So we'll be starting to flow some more funds into the downtown area through the Riverboat Fund. Broadway continues to develop, where we continue through the year to start some new businesses. A lot of success there, more residential down in the Broadway area, more foot traffic on Broadway, which was one of the objectives. I see that continuing to improve in the year 2014. We approved sidewalk cafe ordinance, where I think we'll see some sidewalk cafe on the north side of Broadway in 2014. And also, there's a possibility of getting us some artwork displays and maybe some traveling art on Broadway as we move 2014 and beyond. So excited about where we are with our Broadway project and how it has really stimulated growth and new business and residences. We have filled our management team openings that we've had to deal with over the last 6 months. Molly Hood, Molly Ward, who is coming from Phoenix, will be our development services assistant city manager. She is not an engineer, she's a planner. So we're excited about bringing her on board probably the 1st of January. And then the customer service assistant manager is going to be filled internally. We've announced this week that Gail Conrad will be taking a more active role in some other parts of City Hall activity, customer service activity, as we go on our city clerk. She will still be our city clerk, but we're giving her some more duties and giving her some more staff to make that function. We've got a major software upgrade that we worked through this year, and we're about half through that process. That will continue to work its way through 2014. Again, we'll be improving operating efficiencies within City Hall and through customer service and other areas through Public Works. And we're excited about being able to reduce some operating expenses through the efficiencies created by this software. We've announced, worked on this for a long time, I finally got some buy-in, but we announced this last month through Public Works, Operation Clean Sweep. One of my pet peeves is going down one of our arteries or our city streets and seeing weeds growing around the fire hydrant or around and weeds coming up out of a storm sewer, or it just kind of turns me. And we've been working on this for a long time, and we've got an operation going now, Operation Clean Sweep, where Public Works is weekly taking a part of they got three teams, taking a part of our major thoroughfares and really doing a clean sweep. Have any of you seen extra workers out doing some, anybody? They've been out and about. They got Lexington, they were on Mount Auburn this week, and they've been on Sprigg Street some. This just started in the last about 3 weeks, so I'm really encouraged about that, and I feel better about talking to residences about keeping their property up when we keep our own. It has been a real pet peeve of mine. In regards to that, April of next year, the Friends of the Park, remember the Friends of the Park Day we do every spring in April? We're going to make that citywide this year. A citywide cleanup. Not just parks, so you'll hear more about that coming as we go into April. We've got a beautification committee now that is very active, and we're really looking to make our city look more beautiful and be cleaner as we move into next year. Go Green Committee is very active, working on a little bit on solar, working on a combined natural gas vehicle program with a natural gas filling facility. Hope to make progress next year in 14 on that. And we have worked diligently in the past years, and will continue to work on removing blighted buildings from our community. We're at about, in the last 3.5 years, we've removed about 110 blighted buildings in our community. That's tainted a little bit, slanted a little bit, because we removed 70 for the casino when it went in our, but we're really working and with condemnation and housing and big buildings, commercial buildings, to eliminate those blights. We were able this year, going back to this year, we were able to take down and get an agreement to take down the Plaza Galleria, and we've had a lot of activity. Since more activity in the few months it's been down than it had in the last 3-4 years with the building there. The permits have been granted, and very soon you'll see the building at 1707 Mount Auburn, the old shop building, that will come down very shortly also. We're working on several others, and you can probably name them faster than I can. But that is something that we're really paying attention to. We really have had outstanding success with our landlord-tenant program. That was a little hard to get interest in, particularly through the landlords. Now the landlords have bought in and they like what we have. We're helping the landlords as much as we're helping the tenants, and we're going to continue to strengthen that program as it moves ahead. We're also in the midst, not there yet, Rick, but we're in the midst of strengthening our nuisance ordinance. We don't have an ordinance in place if a yard is just kind of junky and just have junk sitting around. We don't have an ordinance that can force that. Now, if the weeds get tall, we got an ordinance that'll do that. But just kind of junk around, laying around, so we're strengthening that, and we hope in 14 to be able to kind of take care of that program a little bit too. And one more thing, and then I'll stop for any questions. I'll give you a hint that over the next year, you're going to start to see a program that I call neighborhood governance. We're going to work to empower neighborhoods to take more interest in governing their own neighborhood. We will facilitate that as a city, but we think where there's opportunity to have neighborhoods govern themselves a little bit with nuisance, with potholes, reporting them. You report potholes, why didn't you report it yourself? You know, you take care of your neighbor. If you got a neighbor that has Rick came to me just coming in. He's got a neighbor that he'd like to have that, just, we got that capability. So look for, there's many facets to that. Neighborhoods can be just a street, or it can be an entire subdivision, or it can be an area. But look for the term neighborhood governance as we go through 2014. With that, I will stop, and any questions you have, I'll be happy to try to answer. Darren?
I noticed they've been doing some work on the Esquire, that some guys have had some crews up there doing some things.
Yeah.
What's the latest and greatest on that place?
Nothing great. This is a hide and seek program. We're trying to hide the Esquire, and I should have mentioned that going up and down Broadway. Any empty and buildings on Broadway as we move into 14, we're gonna work to cover so that they really don't show that they're blighted and empty as much as they do. So that, and there was a little bit of safety thing. Some of that
Awnings
marquee was
coming
starting
off, and yeah.
that steel was starting to flake off a little bit in wind and in storm. So we had to do some work there, but trying to at least make it, the facade look a little bit better. No work inside, but let the facade look a little bit better. Somebody, yeah.
Harry, was the city able to put a financial gain figure on Gone Girl? That financial.
We have not recapped a dollar figure yet there. Be some difficult to do. I will tell you it was substantial. And there was subtle side benefits to that. Everything that they improved, they left. They improved the bar down there, and they left it. They did some painting of the gazebo and light on the courthouse downtown. They left it. Anything that they did in public places around, they left. So there's subtle benefits there too. I don't have a figure. We can get some solid numbers on some food. We can get some solid numbers on hotel. They bought all their materials and everything here when they did a lot of construction and building here. Bought all those locally. But I don't have a figure at this point on it, but it was substantial. Rick?
Any more on minor league baseball?
Yeah, a little bit. The Cardinals moved their farm team from Batavia, New York to State College, Pennsylvania, which kind of slowed down the process of getting a short season league here that would involve a team here that would involve the Cardinals, which seems like it slows that up, but we got a lot of work to do there yet to get that done, because to get a short season team here, we've got to get a league. So we've got to get 6 cities to go along with us. Now, we've got those identified. Not all of them need stadiums. But that's probably, we were thinking of 15 and 16. That may be a year or two later. But I think it's still a real possibility. The Cardinals are very interested. And I think it's a real possibility, but there is a kind of a delay there. There is a thought of phasing a stadium and doing the first phase of a stadium for summer league, university baseball, et cetera, et cetera. That has been floated, hasn't really been discussed as much as it will need to be, but that's the status of baseball. It's slowed a little bit. Yeah.
Is that down by the river campus?
Yeah. Yeah, the vision of the stadium would be that the stadium, center field looks out over the bridge as much as Cardinal Stadium looks out over the arch, same way. Jerry.
The good old airport.
Good old airport. Yeah, the airport's okay. We just got a building down there that has a little bit. I would say that that will be solved within the next 60 days. Not filled, solved. Yeah.
Harry, I'd just like to comment that I had occasion to be in a meeting where one of the Pepsi people, who was very instrumental in making this selection, commented that they had looked at several different areas for this installation, and it was because of the great reception and cooperation they received from the city staff was a big factor in them selecting Cape Girardeau for this facility.
Thank you for the comment. We did work long and hard to be able to secure that for our first prospect for the business park. We've got another prospect in the wings on the business park also, so looking for that to start to take more shape as we move into 14 and 15. Maybe one more. No more?
How about the corner of Main and Broadway where the bank stood? Any?
We have a prospect there. It's not very far down the road, but that land is very valuable land. It is for lease, possibly for sale, but for sure for lease. And I would look for probably sooner rather than later that something will go up there. We're hoping that whatever that is would not supersede the parking that's there, that the parking would remain and the building would be above it.
Let me follow up with one more, and that is the spending of the casino funds. Have you given any more thought how you're going to go about doing it?
We've got most of the early 6-month casino funds spent or totally spent or designated. We'll be opening the dog park Saturday at Shawnee, or not at Shawnee, at Kiwanis Park. And got a lot of excited interest in that dog park. So that'll open Saturday. The new lights on and the new parking lots, museum parking lot, other lighting, sidewalks, all those types of things we're on the other. On long term, we have a policy that's in effect, approved policy via City Council, that will put a minimum of 10% into a legacy fund as a savings. I kind of next year want to get a maximum amount on that, but 10% into our emergency fund. Also a 10% to 20% into an innovation fund that will continue, such as the software upgrade that will continue to improve efficiencies and capture some additional operating expenses. And then about 60% of it will go into capital expenditures. Nothing will go into operating revenue. Thank you for having me. Have a great holiday season.